Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an updated most OP Rafa Ricochet build in Borderlands 4. Now what you're seeing here is a cool interaction with one of the most powerful guns that we can set up with this, and we also got some other crazy things here like using the torgue stickies. If we got the infinite reload or the infinite bullets from Bullet Buddy Deluxe here, these will increase the amount of damage exponentially on bosses, and you're going to see here in a second, once we actually have to reload our gun, the boss's health is going to get deleted here. So yeah, this health bar is melting. This is in Ultimate Vault Hunter 5. So this works really well against any type of boss that's got a massive health bar. And we can stay pretty much indefinitely in our form here, using a variety of different abilities. I'll be going over the best class mods, weapons, and everything really to utilize when you're fighting against bosses. And just general mobbing, you can see there, when you reload the gun, it just deletes them. So any of the weapons that can have torgue stickies are going to be extremely overpowered. So not even just the legendary weapons, purples as well. Because every one that we are able to apply on an enemy adds 13% extra damage. Chaos and SMG is another great example of this. And we're going to be sticking all in the red skill tree. Our best two augments being the Bullet Buddy Deluxe and Instinto, depending on the weapon and boss we're going against. We get great damage boosts. With a class mod, we can get a 50% chance of our indirect projectiles to also ricochet against. We have crazy ricochet effects, massive amounts of damage. We got a bit of lifesteal, and everything all combines together very synergetically. Now to start from level 1, CTR here is the best. Getting gun damage is crazy because this boosts up even further. And if you use things like the bod shotgun, which counts as all 5 different types of weapons, this 25% damage is added on 5 times that gun. So this becomes absolutely powerful. Now, this one is actually really good, and this is how you can see my character staying in our overdrive form as often as possible. The Werga here, whenever we critically hit an enemy, our action skill is restored by 15%. We can do this every 4 seconds. This will pretty much keep this up almost indefinitely, except for when we spam our Bullet Buddy Deluxe or Instinto here. With Bullet Buddy Deluxe, whenever we have this active, we get infinite bullet damage. We also get bonus incendiary damage on this, ammo regeneration, and it burns up our action skill 35% quicker. Against bosses, these two are the two best. Instinto is great, however, whenever you want to get increased critical hit chance. This will just boost up the overall damage, but you don't get the infinite ammo from Bullet Buddy Deluxe. So it just really depends what type of weapon you're using. And your current, I guess, if you're leveling, it depends. But I really like the Bullet Buddy Deluxe just for a variety of different weapons that boosts and get benefited from it. But Instinto is probably the true best in a vacuum. Now, the Maestro here is great because this will increase our damage from our peacebreaker cannons. You don't have to take this though, because going with the Resiliencia is pretty nice too. However, I'm not using a class mod that's going to keep us in our overdrive as often, because there's one that'll actually let you keep you in overdrive as long as you have your peacebreaker cannons active. I'm not going to utilize this for this build, but you can also use that and then increase your damage reduction up to the 30% that it reduces. Now, for the next one, I'd actually recommend going into the left skill tree here first. Taking the asymmetric warfare, so indirect projectiles get increased damage. Indirect projectiles include all your action skill weapons, throw-in weapons, and projectiles not fired from your gun. What this means is basically any of the pellets that ricochet are going to get be considered as an indirect projectile. Once we get down here, I like to take 1 level of the hostile acquisition. This is good because 10% lifesteal is, I think, more than enough with the damage output versus your overall health bar. If you're using the Timekeeper's new shield, which puts all your health in and gets rid of your shield, you could use a little bit higher here, but I think it's actually best to take the Iron Spark. This one's actually pretty crazy. So all indirect projectiles deal bonus fire damage. If the projectiles already deal fire damage, you double that. So at 4 levels is 32%. We can get up to 40% damage bonus on our indirect projectiles. That's absolutely huge because we already got a 45% boost to the damage, so we can further increase that in pure fire damage, which is great against red health bars. I like sliding to reduce ricochets, but this doesn't really work well on this build. Now this lets us take our Capstone, the double auto shot. Our peacebreaker cannons are replaced with shotguns that deal increased damage and have increased pedal count. These will also have critical hits. And what's nice about that is they also will restore your action skill duration with the Werga there. So really great synergy here. And we have the lateral plinking here from my class mod, but you want to take this because that ricochet chance from our indirect projectiles is massive. So yeah, all indirect projectiles. So ricochets get a chance to ricochet 50%. This becomes crazy, especially with some other gear like the Jacob's Bounce Pass. Now, I like to go into this skill tree here. Vitriol is nice on specific guns because the first fired shot will get an increased bonus damage. When you use Bullet Buddy Deluxe, actually will apply this too. This is great on the Hot Slugger, which forces you to reload. I used to like going into the blue skill tree, but I actually think it's better to stick in this skill tree here. Now we can go ahead here and take Pain Reaction. I'm only going to take 4 levels because we do want to get the Inspirado here. And normally we aren't able to get down there. So we need 1 point in that. So with this will give us increased chance of critical ricochet off of enemies whenever we have a status effect on them. We want to apply status effects where it'll take that 1 point in the concentrated buildup. This gives you bonus shock damage whenever you aim down your sights, and it'll scale up the longer that you aim down your sights for 20 stacks. This can be some pretty good damage. Bonus damage in Borderlands 4 is absolutely crazy, the amount of damage output that you can get, similarly to the fire damage bonus on Air and Spark. But we just want one level of that. I got 2 for my class mod. And then we're going to put 2 points into here, potentially 3. So whenever Rafa inflicts a status effect on an enemy, he gains increased action skill cooldown rate and decreased action skill duration rate. These effects stack. So yeah, whenever we apply statuses, we are able to stay in our peacebreaker cannons longer. I also have this from the class mod. You don't have to take this. And the status effect chance boosted up to 70% is nice, but I don't find that this is really that necessary for this build. We almost want to get down and take Temerario for the boost of damage that we get from this. Alternatively, you can go into the blue skill tree and then go down here, and this one will give you boost when we reload your gun, which can be okay, but I actually think that it's best to continue on into the red skill tree. Now, the barrage is nice. This will give you increased splash damage while your overdrive is active, and this will give increased overdrive duration. Overdrive duration is nice if you're not going to use this class mod that gives you the bonuses. You can just go with this here to give yourself the boost of 35% splash damage, which is pretty nice, and then go and take Temerario. This is good because whenever we're in our overdrive skill, we get a stack of Temerario. This will give us increased gun damage, 5% per second, upwards of 10 seconds, 50% extra gun damage. This becomes pretty crazy, and it'll also actually feed into our peacebreaker cannons with a specific augment. This also lets us go down here and take the Soldado here, which whenever we get a kill, this will double the bonuses that we get from overdrive, so that takes our movement speed up to 50%, damage up to 20%. So this can be pretty nice, and this also applies to some of the other effects here. You don't have to take it. You can if you want. I like to also then take one more point here, and or take the other point here. You can go between these two here, because this will give us the increased action skill cooldown and duration whenever we apply statuses. So all in all, this actually is pretty powerful. I also like the deft hands. We get 3 points from our class mod here, giving us the increased fire rate, and the peacebreaker cannons also get increased fire rate for more overall damage. But with this, we have lots of ricochet damage. We're going to get a little lifesteal, high ricochet damage again. It's absolutely crazy. I like this with the Instigator class mod, honestly, because this will give us actually an increased action skill duration. And that 45% action skill duration means that we never really lose our peacebreaker cannons unless we want to use Bullet Buddy Deluxe. If we just activate peacebreaker cannons and go AFK, this will let us stay in it forever, because with that increased duration plus the critical hits, we get it back quickly. So whenever a peacebreaker cannon is fired at an enemy, you get an Instigator stack, which gives you plus 2% damage for every stack of Instigator, upwards of 50% extra damage. It also has some really nice rolls. As you see there, we got like the Capstone roll, so we get the lateral planking there for increased ricochet chance. This is really worth it. I also like to go with, if you have the overdrive benefits are doubled and active while you're in your overdrive, this can be good too. This one is just a general purpose good one, 40% extra damage and cooldown rate. I just think this one ends up being a bit better overall. Now, the protein cell is actually a pretty good shield here. So whenever you do a ground slam attack, this will drain your shield over time to grant 40% bonus shock damage and damage taken through the shield. So you can get a pretty high damage boost from this. This also has a huge Nova. It can be pretty effective. I also, as mentioned, like the Timekeeper's new shield, since we can get the damage reduction and then also use the Bullet Buddy Deluxe to get some lifesteal around. This can be pretty effective. And then also we got the fireworks here, which are just a general purpose good choice, because these will just be great for mobbing, dropping rockets on every enemy. So I actually think that I prefer the fireworks for general mobbing, and then using some of these other shields. Protein cell being great, onion good for the damage reduction, and then also watch for dinner adding some other shield, but we don't have overshield, so this isn't really like the most optimal. I think the protein cell ends up being pretty great. Now, we want to find an enhancement that has gun bounce pass, increasing the ricochets by 1. If you can find one with increased damage, that's going to be good too. Like this one here, 25% gun damage increase, woohoo! But it doesn't have what we want on it, unfortunately. This one, with the increased ricochets by 1, that's absolutely crazy. Big, huge boost to our overall DPS. So we want that. It's great for whenever we're mobbing. And then this also gives a 25% chance, or 20% chance to be a critical hit with a Jacob's gun if it's not a headshot. So that's great. Critical hit knife obviously is going to be really good here. There's other grenades that you can utilize. I just don't have them on this here. Waterfall being a good one. The Slippy if you want to get a little lifesteal from your grenade. But the crit knife just makes the most sense here, unfortunately. And then we got the triple bypass. Now this is great. You want to get the high caliber if possible. This will apply the bullets will pierce. And there's also the one that's going to increase your every critical hit has a chance of replenishing bullets. Those two are really good as well. This will increase the gun damage by 200% in your next shot, which can actually be some pretty crazy damage with some of the different pieces of gear here, like the Queen's Rest. We can actually do some pretty nuts stuff. Now getting into our weapons. The Convergence is always going to be a good choice if you can get the Jacob's License accessory, because this one has like special bullets that fire through, and the damage output from this is crazy, especially if you can get the fully auto shotgun. This is nuts. And you saw at the start, the Queen's Rest is crazy, especially because whenever you put multiple stickies on an enemy with this build, you're going to do massive damage. You can also do this with a Chaosin. I also like TK's Wave here, especially the fully automatic Ripper one. It's a little bit more rare, but it shoots pretty quickly, and the damage output from the TK's Wave, you can see it there, 10,000 DPS. It's nuts. And then the Phantom Flame, which is another one you saw at the start, you can fire this one pretty fast with your peacebreaker mode whenever you're using Bullet Buddy Deluxe. It's honestly going to be hard to top the Hot Slugger. This is one of the best absolute weapons in the game, and every single reload that you get, you're getting a 55% boost to corrosive damage, which is nuts. The Linebacker can be another good one. Kickballer, kind of funny with the Jacob's Lace accessory. This will delete everything in its path. Not really the absolute best choice here, but you can also go with the Linebacker, which is similar to this, but a bit different. The Infinity XXXL is also nice too, because whenever you're firing this, you can get infinite bullets with a Bullet Buddy Deluxe, and it shoots really fast. King's Gambit's another pistol that's pretty nice, especially if you get the Ripper one. This allows you to fire fully automatic, and it does a good amount of damage, and it can also have ricochets with the Holy Hell, and it allows you to shoot the gun to ricochet it around too, so this works pretty well on this build. And I always like to have a wombo combo for any of the Vile enemies, because this will allow you to do rockets with your shots, and those will blow up the crystals really easily. And it's also, I guess, the last one to mention here is the Space Laser from Oscar Mike. It's going to be the highest possible damage per second. As for our specializations, now with Caffeine, never a bad idea, giving you 25% action skill cooldown whenever you use a Repkit with the triple bypass of 75% back. I Am a Gun, this will give our gun damage benefits to our action skill, and the Peacebreaker cannons do a pretty good amount of damage, especially with Instinto, so this can be really good. And I also paired that with a Honed Mind, allowing it to critically hit and get increased critical hit damage, because we want to critically hit. And then finally, Riddle You this, which adds upwards of 50% extra gun damage, and this is just going to pretty much be active at all times. You can also go with the Groundbreaker if you want to add a little bit extra melee damage into this build. One shot, one kill, I don't really recommend here, but it can be a fun choice if you got a high damage like a Hot Slugger. And I also like the Best Defense, which increases your damage dealt by 30% whenever you have full health or shields. So for general mobbing, you can use the Convergence here because the damage from it's crazy, and the critical hits that you can see there are absolutely nuts. You can just delete everything in your path, especially when using the Bullet Buddy Deluxe for the infinite ammo, and you just continually keep firing like that, and it's going to ricochet around to multiple enemies. Yeah, it becomes pretty crazy. The output from that is nuts. So yeah, you can see it right there. This gun is really great, especially with that Bullet Buddy Deluxe giving you the infinite ammo. This is going to be probably the best gun for just general mobbing. I really like Convergence. It also is pretty bright, so you can get that in different elements too. This here, you've seen it from fighting the hardest boss in Ultimate Vault Hunter 5. Whenever you swap guns or reload it, it becomes pretty crazy. TK's Wave also being another really good one here, as you see, because if you get the Bullet Buddy Deluxe active, you can just fire this endlessly, and you see there, it shoots pretty quickly. The wave pellets are nice, and you can have it automatically aim onto enemies too using the underbarrel. And again, the Phantom Flame has some pretty crazy fire rates when you're using the Bullet Buddy Deluxe there. Instinto is actually probably best for just mobbing in general and for bossing. I really like the Bullet Buddy Deluxe there because that damage is just nuts whenever you get firing your guns like that, especially with something that shoots really fast like this gun here. And for bosses, then you can use Chaos, and even the bod has a version of the bod that allows you to do the extra damage off on enemies using the torgue stickies, which is really just super overpowered. You can see there, you can literally just sit in their face and spam this gun. It's pretty crazy, the damage. But yeah, you can literally sit AFK, because every time we get a critical hit, it's going to then give ourselves the action skill time back. And it becomes absolutely nuts, because these Peacebreaker cannons with the specialization are hitting pretty frequently here. So you don't really have to even play. You can literally just play AFK. It's insane. Instinto would obviously boost this up even further, and Instinto increases the critical hit rate. But if you got the specialization that gives you increased crit rate, you're laughing. It's absolutely crazy what you can do with this. So yeah, that's the most overpowered Ricochet Rafa build updated here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed, and I hope you have a great day.